Greetings from Amsterdam. Actually taken a couple of personal days visiting with family, but wanted to take a few minutes to discuss an issue that's stunningly relevant for folks in the Netherlands and across Europe, and really in some ways across the United States as well. And that's energy prices and a little bit about the economics behind it. So energy prices this upcoming winter are expected to be dramatically high. So here in the Netherlands, a recent report that came out, and I'll put a link to it into the description, indicated that the average household will be spending about 5,000 euros this year on energy relative to 2,000 last year. I mean, that's a stunning change in the price. The euro is about on par for the dollar, for those who kind of don't know the exchange rate at the moment. And to put it into perspective in terms of household wealth, the median household in the Netherlands earns about $40,000, or 40,000 euros a year. So this increase alone, this 3,000 extra euros, is wiping out 7.5% of the average household income. I mean, this is a dramatic shift into a really big deal and really unfortunate what's about to happen. So there's a whole lot of reasons on why it happened, and I'll let you go into news stories for that. I mean, right, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is a big driver of it. There are some other reasons that is such a big driver that we'll touch on here. But wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that with this shortage, why are we seeing an increase? Why are we seeing an increase so high? And what can be done in both the short and the long term? So why are we seeing an increase is really simple, basic economics. The supply of energy is down. Because the supply of energy is down, the price is going to go up. That's all there is to it. But there is a key question of why is it going up so much? Why is it such a dramatic increase? A lot of products, you could have a supply cut and the prices won't drop as much. And I think with this, the inelasticity of supply in the short run is really key.
Going to pause the video here as I realized I threw out the term inelasticity of supply and did not explain it in the initial discussion, and I think it's worth elaborating a little bit. Elasticity refers to how much quantity changes when there's a price change. So a product has an inelastic supply if sellers of the product do not change the amount they sell much when the price changes. If that's the case, then supply is inelastic. If sellers are changing the amount they sell quite considerably, or the amount they're willing to sell based on a price change, then supply would be said to be elastic. Similar concept for demand. Demand for a product is elastic if the quantity demanded by consumers changes dramatically based on a price change, and demand for a product is inelastic if the quantity consumers would wish to purchase does not change much based on a price change.
And also, the inelasticity of demand in the short run is probably also pretty key. So in the short run, even if there's big price changes, suppliers can't really produce more. And consumers, it takes pretty big price changes to cut energy usage as well. So because of those two factors, when you have a significant drop in supply, you can't have a price increase and have energy companies just instantly get more energy to consumers to help fix the problem like you could with some others. Let's take a very dramatic example in a different market, and that's box office movies. If there's going to be significant demand for a movie theater just gets another reel to a theater. The prices don't even change for the most popular movie to the least popular movie in any given weekend because the supply can change so dramatically. That can't happen with energy, which is of course much more important than going to a movie, a much bigger expenditure than going to a movie. So that's part of why it's going up and why it's going up so dramatically. So what can be done about it in the short run by governments? That's a question that's often asked. Unfortunately, not that much, right? What can be done? I don't know what governments can necessarily do in the short run. I mean, can you boost energy production? If you're able to, that's fantastic, but it often takes a while. So in the short run, there's just going to be a lot of pain. I mean, I don't know that there's much of a way around it. If you don't have strategic reserves, if you can't suddenly increase your energy output, you're just going to see higher prices. You don't want to, as a government, put in price caps, because the higher energy prices at a minimum will cause people to lower their output, which is a way of conserving what energy there is. If you're thinking of some subsidy, it should almost be like bulk subsidies to households, but not tied to energy prices. In the long run, there's a number of policies. I'd say medium and long run. So medium run, investing in sustainable energies, and in the long run are key. I think I'm optimistic that 50 to 100 years from now, that's all we're using. I'm hopeful that's all we're using. But in the next 50 to 100 years, there's still going to be a lot of use of fossil fuels. So it's not just investing in sustainable energies. You could imagine more fracking, which natural gas and of the fossil fuels emits less carbon. You could imagine more nuclear power production, which nuclear waste is an issue, but in terms of carbon, emits nothing. And so environmentally, it's actually could be quite positive in terms of issues with the climate. So I hope this video was helpful a little bit on understanding some of the economics behind the price increases that you might see. My name's Matt Rosu. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe. I try to create new content regularly, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hello, chiming in again with a paused video. I recorded this video on Monday, October 3rd. On Tuesday, October 4th, a story came out and how Netherlands government is indeed instituting price caps, and I'll put a link into the description for this article. I mentioned in the video how price caps are generally a bad idea, because if prices are held artificially low, consumers will demand and purchase more of the product than they otherwise would, right? This is basic law of demand. Well, that's problematic, right? You're dealing with an energy shortage, and then you're artificially keeping the price so that more is purchased. It exacerbates the problem. I mentioned there's no real good solution here. This one in some ways makes it worse. If you're looking for some way to simply spread the cost around, the cash payments to households for energy costs is one way to do it, right? You're either taking from one household and giving to another, right? If it's all being done right now, and some households are better off and some households are worse off if you're just giving cash payments, or you're borrowing and you're making future generations pay generations now, right? If you're kind of accumulating debt. But this idea of the price caps, we saw it in the United States in the 70s when price caps were put on gasoline. What did it lead to? Well, people went on purchasing more gasoline than they would have otherwise purchased. And you saw long lines at the fuel pump. And in many ways, it made the problem worse. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I hope you like this live content. Sorry, it was a little bit noisy in the background. I can tell the big difference between this recording and the recording that was done outside. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.